Enuminums.
So yeah, that happened. Today I'm starting an ambitious project. I'm building a Markdown to video converter using PHP and AI. To be honest, using AI might be a bit of an exaggeration here, because initially I wanted to use ChatGPT to generate a video script based on a prompt. It could be about anything. I chose PHP tip videos as my niche. That video script, including code blocks, would be fed into a generator, which in turn would split one Markdown file into different scenes. It would render the code blocks as visuals. It would use text-to-speech to convert text-to-speech. It would stitch everything together, and the output would be the final video, including subtitles, a thumbnail, different formats for YouTube, TikTok, all ready to upload. And it all worked. Except for one thing, ChatGPT really isn't all that accurate when it comes to content about programming languages. It had a bunch of errors and mistakes, and I really didn't want to blindly rely on it. So in the end, I decided to write my own Markdown file and skip ChatGPT for now. I did use a proper text-to-speech library that was trained by an AI model, so technically I'm still using AI, but mainly it's using the right tools at the right place at the right time. Let's take a look. I started with what I thought would be the most difficult part: stitching audio files and images together into one comprehensive video. So I took 2 screenshots, recorded 2 audio samples, and my goal was to make them into a video. I knew FFmpeg was the tool to use, so I wrapped it in PHP. I actually wanted to use an existing PHP package that wraps around FFmpeg, but it didn't support the command that Stack Overflow told me to use, so I just wrote it myself. In the end, it's just PHP calling a command line function with the right arguments, so it's not very complex. Except of course FFmpeg itself, which is a very powerful command line video editor, but it also has the worst user interface imaginable. So needless to say, it took quite a bit of time, just trial and error, trying to get all arguments to work in the right way. In hindsight though, I can explain it in 1 minute. Let's say I have a bunch of audio files and a bunch of screenshots, different scenes. Then I use FFmpeg to combine one screenshot with one audio file, and next I use FFmpeg again to stitch all scenes together, and that's about it. The resolution of the video is defined by the resolution of the input screenshots, and the frame rate is hard-coded into the FFmpeg command. Of course, these screenshots will be the code blocks from our Markdown file rendered into an image, and the audio files are the Markdown text rendered to audio using a text-to-speech library. With all of that in place, I rendered my first video. Of course, still using my manually created screenshots and audio. I did some more fine-tuning, actually a lot of fine-tuning, and I was ready to watch the first video.
So this is the first slide, and this is the second slide.
So obviously there are 2 things still missing: real screenshots and real audio. Well, actually fake audio, because we're using text-to-speech. I started with the audio. After a lot of Googling, I found a Python library that I thought could handle the job. So I was a little disappointed when it didn't seem to work on my local Mac. I've got a Mac Mini M1 and there seemed to be some issues. It didn't mean that it wouldn't work, but I also didn't want to spend tons of time debugging the issue. So instead I decided to split the problem. I created an interface, text-to-speech driver, so that I could use a different implementation based on the operating system I was using. In my case, on Mac, there's the very simple say command that will render text-to-speech in a kind of crappy way, but it did allow me to continue looking at the bigger picture before losing myself in the details. So that's the strategy I went for. I could use Mac's built-in say command for local testing, and I could use a proper text-to-speech library on my production server. And it sounded something like this.
Hello world. This is the second test, and here is a second slide.
Next, let's render some screenshots. Again, nothing too difficult. There's a popular package called Browsershot that wraps Puppeteer, which is a JavaScript library that can interact with a headless Chrome browser. Yeah, basically, I could render HTML to an image, which is actually what I need if I want to convert Markdown code blocks to videos. Now it was time to do a first real test. I gave my converter a Markdown file. It split it into scenes. Each scene was rendered to an image and audio. Everything was stitched together, and here's the result.
PHP 8.1 added a new feature, enums. Let's take a look at how they work. The benefit of enums is that they represent a collection of constant values, but most importantly, those values can be typed, like so. For this example, creating an enum and passing it to a looks like this.
Okay, the biggest issue right now is the very robotic speech, obviously. So I deployed everything on my server and tried it out with a proper text-to-speech library.
8.1 added a new feature, enums. Let's take a look at how they work.
Yeah, as you can hear, it's not all that good. Especially words like PHP pronounced pf and enums becoming enums. But luckily there's an easy fix. I decided to keep a dictionary that maps certain words to their phonetic pronunciation. Enums became enums, PHP became PHP, and lo and behold, it works. Except for that one time where I forgot to early return and the same word was repeated several times.
A new feature, enums. Enums are small data.
Yeah, that took me a minute to debug, but after that, it all worked fine.
PHP 8.1 added a new feature, enums.
Finally, I decided to add a couple more nice-to-have features. I fixed the Python text-to-speech library so that I could use it locally. The generator now also creates a thumbnail and subtitles file, as well as different formats, so that I can render the same video for YouTube and TikTok.
PHP 8.1 added a new feature, enums.
Now onto the question, is it worth it? I started this project to learn a bit more about FFmpeg and Browsershot and text-to-speech, but I also wanted to know whether I could make a video that's generated but still educational and good enough. So from my experience, I find that ChatGPT is rather inaccurate when it comes to topics like programming, especially explaining newer features. And to be honest, that's totally fine. This is a natural language model that's been around for like a couple of months. It will be interesting to see how it evolves. So I might actually do this same experiment a year from now. When it comes to audio, I think I expected a little bit more. Now, there are better text-to-speech libraries, but they aren't free or open source, which I totally understand. Even with the paid solutions, I still feel like they are missing that last 5% human touch that makes it feel real. If you listen closely, you can still tell it's generated by a machine. So it will be interesting to see what becomes of text-to-speech in the coming years as well. So is it worth it? I think there will definitely be a market for this kind of content, and there actually already is, especially in other niches outside of programming. It's definitely something that we need to learn to embrace one way or another, because whether we like it or not, these tools are here and they are becoming better. So it's better to find a way to make these tools help us and learn how to make optimal use of them. So with all of that being said, leave your thoughts in the comments down below, leave a like and subscribe. You know what to do, and I will see you in the next video.